Hey guys, this is Sean Prokus, Pastor of Digital Ministries here. And what I want to do is a really quick walk through a demo of me working through the daily questions based upon Luke chapter 1, just so you can see a working model of this. And let's see here. Here's the baseline questions right here on the blank page that you'd be filling out. Here are my answers as I worked through Luke chapter 1. I'm not going to read Luke chapter 1 just for the sake of time right now. Read all through that, but let me kind of break down the way that I tackled Luke. So Luke chapter 1, just fill out the date, put in the chapter that you're working on. And then the first part is that you want to write a summary in your own words. You just want to use a couple sentences to describe what you read. And the way that I like to do it in a chapter like Luke chapter 1 is I'll take a couple verses at a time or a section at a time, and I'll just write a summary sentence or two that briefly states what happened in those verses. So like verses 1 through 4, Luke talks about writing an account for a friend of his, Theophilus. In 5 through 25 here, Zechariah and Elizabeth find out that they're going to be parents of John the Baptist, and Zechariah's speech is muted because he questions the angel's message. Verses 26 through 38, Mary is told by an angel that she's going to be the mother of Jesus. 39 through 45, Mary visits Elizabeth, and Elizabeth's baby, John the Baptist, jumps in her womb. And so you kind of get the big idea here that keeps going. It's just you want to really quick, in your own words, provide a synopsis of what happened in a section of that chapter. And sometimes you'll read a chapter and you'll find out there's only a couple sections to break down, but in this chapter you can see that there are many things that need to be broken down. So when it comes to discovery, what was your favorite part or verse of your reading and why? So after you've read your chapter, what you want to do is figure out what was your favorite part? What was your biggest takeaway? For me, it was verse 38, and it was the whole idea of where Mary responds with joy and obedience in hearing the news that she's going to be Jesus's mom. I just thought that was really beautiful. Next question, write down any questions that you may have from today's reading. What did you not understand? And so I wrote down questions like in verse 3, who's Theophilus? And, verse 5, what's the deal with this priestly division? In verse 5 also, who's Aaron? Who's Herod? Verse 5, where is Judea? So yeah, just these kind of questions like around people, places, what's this group of people or priestly order? I don't understand this word. I've never heard this phrase before, those kind of things. And there's also too, not just the more concrete questions that you may be asked that you don't understand about the chapter that you read, but also there can be more philosophical questions too. Like, for example, why was Zechariah's mouth sealed shut when he asked a question in verse 18, while Mary's mouth was not sealed shut in verse 34 when she asked a question? What was the difference between their two questions, that being Zechariah and Mary's questions? What was the different heart posture or things like that? So there are more philosophical and theological questions I think that you can ask in this section as well. And one of the things I'm going to say before I leave this really quick, and I dealt with this in part 2 of how to get started in reading the Bible. It's great to ask these questions. The other part of it, though, is trying to find the answers. And I recommended commentary series, a Luke commentary. There's study Bibles. So go back if you haven't watched part 2 of How Do I Get Started Reading the Bible series. Go ahead and go back and read through that. And then the last thing is this, is just application. What did God teach you today, and how can you apply it to your life? And so I put down from Luke chapter 2, I learned, like Mary, I learned that I need to trust God when he makes hard decisions of my life. Beyond obedience and trust, I need to also praise him through his tough calls for me. And so that was kind of my takeaway. There were lots of takeaways from chapter 1. And you're more than welcome to write down more than one answer. But I just want to encourage you to not overcommit. And if maybe one answer a day is just where you kind of need to set the bar to get things rolling. Anyways, that's just a breakdown of Luke chapter 1 as an example to get the ball rolling for you. I think you could easily do this with the rest of the chapters with Luke and the book of Acts. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of energy. So thank you guys for joining me, and make sure you watch part 3 of the video series on how to get started in reading the Bible.